you so much for joining me this afternoon. My name is Tyler Hyde. I am the Bee's brand strategy manager. And I have been a part of what we call the Bee team, which is the full-time staff of the Scripps National Spelling Bee for the last decade. I am joining you from Cincinnati, Ohio, where the Bee and our parent company, the EW Scripps Company, is headquartered. Now, we are here today to walk through your school spelling bee program. And the beauty of the bee is that it will probably look a little bit different for each one of you. So I'm going to talk you through our newly designed school portal where you'll get all of your materials. And then we're also going to go through different ways you might consider structuring your spelling bee program. Before we dive into that, though, I'd love to get to know all of you a little bit better. So I'm going to put up a few polls, if you wouldn't mind answering them. They will help me kind of steer today's conversation, make sure that we're hitting all the things that you all want to talk about. So there we go. All right, so here we go. We have a couple polls here for you. So first, is your school enrolled in the spelling bee program for this school year? And then we have, do you serve as your school's spelling bee coordinator? And then if yes, you do, is this your first year as your school spelling bee coordinator? And please excuse all the bee puns. I can't help myself, so we will give just a couple minutes. See if we can get some good answers. Oh yeah, lots of good answers already in here. So thank you very much. Want to be sure you're all getting the most of our time together because I know that your time is precious. All right, I'll give it just a couple more seconds. Okay. Here we go. So we have, 67% of you say that yes, your school is enrolled in the spelling bee program for this school year. For those of you who are not sure or that you haven't enrolled yet, we're going to do that really fast at the beginning of this webinar. And then, a ton of you serve as your school spelling bee coordinators. So first, thank you. It's such an important role, and hopefully you will get a lot out of today's webinar because we're going to walk through everything that you receive. And then we're about 50-50 split. Oh, fun, on whether you are a newbie with your school coordinator or if you are a bee Peter. So perfect. Thank you so much for filling that out for me. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab some tea here. See if I can get my throat to cooperate today. Okay, so I will use those responses and help kind of craft how we go forward. One more thing before we start, you should see a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to leave questions whenever you have them. We will hopefully have time at the end for me to answer some of those questions live, but I'm also very grateful to have some members of the Bee team helping me out today, and they are ready to answer your questions throughout this presentation as well. So first, let's talk about school enrollment. Like I said, it looks like a bunch of you are already enrolled. Wonderful, thank you. You've already checked off this step. We will very quickly take a look at enrollment for those of you who have not yet enrolled. So this is our website, spellingbee.com. If you couldn't tell from my background, you can probably see right here, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary. So the Bee was started in 1925, and this next year will be our 100th year. So we're very excited, and we hope that you'll all join us for that 100th year. So like I said, this is our homepage. You can go to the link right here, enroll your school, or you can go to this link up here to enroll. This will give you everything that you need to know about your school spelling bee program. And then for those of you who don't know if you're enrolled or not, you can actually use this little block right here, enter the zip code of your school, and it will let you know if your school is enrolled. I will also just throw a link here in the chat for you to our school enrollment tutorial. We did update all of our portals and our enrollment system this year, so things are a little different. And then one thing to note for any of you that have not yet enrolled, but that you are a returning school, because of this new system, you will need to register an account with us, even if you've had one already in the past. So you can use the same email address you used last year to register if you'd like to do that, but you will have to re-register. That's just a piece of our new system. So wonderful. So for those of you who are already enrolled and who are your school spelling bee coordinators, so a good number of you, this login button here at the top of the screen is where you can log into our school portal. So let's go ahead and flip over to our school portal. Now, the first thing that that you will see here is a little bit of introductory text to kind of get you oriented to the program. I will point out one resource that we specifically mentioned right here. So let me go ahead and share that with you. It is our school spelling bee checklist. I find it to be really, really useful. I will go ahead and share this. And then I'm also going to go ahead and share with you the web version of that via the chat, so that if you'd like to follow along, you are welcome to. So this school spelling bee checklist basically takes you step by step through all the different pieces of administering a school spelling bee. We've got all the different pieces that we're going to walk through today, from learning about your regional partners program, to determining your school spelling bee structure, to finding all of your materials and distributing them to the people that need them at your school. So we will be working through this school spelling bee checklist as we go through the newly redesigned school portal. So I will pop us back over to that view now. All right, so you should see that again. There we go. Okay. So I just want to say this has been a labor of love, this newly redesigned portal, for a number of us here at Scripps for many years now. And I am incredibly excited to get to give you a tour of everything. You can see right here in this left menu, a whole bunch of different menu items to choose from. We're going to go through many of those today. And we are going to start with our regional program information. So I will go right here to talk through this. So as many of you are already enrolled and have worked on your school spelling bee program previously, you likely already know that the bee partners with organizations across the country to bring our program to your local communities. So your regional partner might be a media company, a university, a library, a newspaper, even a professional sports team. We have a few of those now. And all of these organizations, they help us bridge the gap between your school spelling bee and our national competition in Washington, D.C. So once your regional partner has submitted their information about their program to the bee, you'll be able to find all of that information here within your school portal by clicking regional program information. So what kind of information is that? That includes the contact information for your regional partner. It includes information about the structure of the regional partner's regional program. So that could mean the date, time, and location for the regional competition in your area, the deadline for you to hold your school spelling bee, the deadline for you to register your school spelling bee champion. And then another important piece is whether your school champion will move directly to that regional competition, or if there's some kind of what we call a regional qualifier level. So that could be a district, county, or some other competition that takes place between that school spelling bee and the regional competition. So basically, there's a lot of good information in here, and we are going to use it to help structure your school spelling bee program. So give me just a moment to pull up this next slide that I have. So we are right now looking at some test information. So you'll see right here, this section, qualifying for the regional competition. So you'll see school level. That includes the deadline by which you need to host your school spelling bee. It includes the number of spellers that will advance from your school spelling bee to the next level. Typically that's one, but some areas will allow, 2 or 3 champions to move forward to, say, a district level before the regional B. And then it also includes the deadline by which you should register your school champion with your regional partner. Like I mentioned, we also have regional qualifier levels. So if there is a level there, it will appear here. And then we have the regional B level. So that is that final local spelling bee that takes place before the national competition and determines who from your large area will move on to Washington, D.C. Again, you see information here about registering your school champion. This particular account only has a deadline listed, but sometimes they will have additional information that you need to know about registering your champion. We have a section with deadlines and important dates, and then program eligibility. So sometimes there might be a minimum grade level for participating in the regional program, and that would be listed there if that were the case. So the first thing that we are going to do is take that school spelling bee deadline, which is right here, school level deadline. So in this case, it is January 31st, 2025. And then we're going to work backwards to decide when to host our school spelling bee and any classroom or grade level bees that might need to occur before your school bee. Really quickly, I do just want to point out, if you go into your school portal and click on regional program information and you only see this contact information here, that simply means that your regional partner hasn't yet completed their program information. Just know that we at the Bee are working with your regional partner to make it available to you, and we anticipate having more information listed for all of our regional programs next month. So just wanted to point that out. I also just want to say, if that is the case and you don't have a deadline to work backward from for your school spelling bee, I would encourage you to plan for early January or maybe even December, just to be sure that your school champion has time to study for the regional bee or take part in any intermediate level bees that could occur in January. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, my other screen. There we go. Okay. So like I said, in this example, we're working from that January 31st deadline to complete our school spelling bee and have our champion registered for the next level of the regional program. So to give yourself a bit of a buffer, I would encourage you to plan a few days ahead of that deadline for your school spelling bee. And then you have some decisions that you need to make. So first, how many students will be competing, in your school spelling bee? If students are part of a spelling club or have to volunteer to compete, you likely already know that number. But if you do choose to have a school-wide spelling bee, you'll probably need to narrow down the number of students. We recommend about 20 to 25 students should compete in your school spelling bee, and you can narrow them down in a variety of different ways. So we are going to take a step back through my memories. So every school has its own spelling bee traditions and ways that make the most sense for your educators and your students. So my own spelling bee experience as a kid, which was only a few eons ago. I grew up in Georgia, and for my elementary school, it was more of an opt-in situation. So our school bee coordinator would go to the gifted program and our after-school clubs and ask if there were students interested in competing, and then we'd all take part in the school spelling bee, those of us who were interested. Then when I got to middle school, each classroom would administer a written spelling test, and that way there would be a representative from each classroom in the school spelling bee. Now, no matter how you choose to structure your program, whether either of those options or a full school spelling bee or somewhere in between, we have all the resources that you can use to bring classroom, grade level, and school-wide bees to life. If you're looking for a recommendation, I do recommend holding a bee at the classroom level, simply because that gets even more of your students at your school involved. But if you choose to host something like a grade level bee instead, that's your choice. It really just depends on what works best for you and your school. And you can use the classroom level resources for either a classroom or a grade level bee. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to do another really quick poll to see what we're thinking about doing for our school spelling bee structures. And again, that will help me kind of see how I want to move forward with this next bit of our webinar. So one question to ask yourself, and if you don't have, this is not hard and fast, you can absolutely change this answer as you start to get into it, but just what are you thinking about right now? So do you think you will plan to hold more than one level of competition for your school spelling bee program? So will there be like a classroom that moves forward to a school B, a grade level, moving forward to a school B? And then which additional level of competition do you expect to have at your school? Again, no one is checking these answers. You can change this up until the moment if you want to, but just out of curiosity, I'd like to hear. All right, we have some good responses already. This is wonderful. And I'm actually going to take this opportunity to see if there's anything in the chat that we need to address right now. Okay, cool, good to know. Okay, great, so I will close this poll in just a moment. So if you haven't answered yet, go ahead and get your answer in. All right, here we go. Oh, great. So it looks like 78% of you plan to hold a classroom or grade level spelling bee. That's wonderful. 22% of you only plan to hold a school spelling bee. Also wonderful. It's whatever works best for you and your students. And then if you are planning on an additional level of competition, we have, looks like a really nice split actually between classroom, grade level, and then doing both levels. So that's good to know. Great, thank you so much. Let me go ahead and continue on. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to our calendar so we can kind of start putting together this school spelling bee program in our brains. So we have that deadline of January 31st. That is a Friday this year, so that works out very nicely. So that is your deadline for holding the school bee, registering your school bee champion with your regional partner in this specific instance. So remember, you go to that regional program information and get whatever your regional partner's specific date is. But in this example, that's what we're doing. So with that in mind, my thought would be to give us a week of a buffer, just in case it's January. There could be, you know, weather or school closures for some reason. So school bee looking to have it about a week before that deadline. Plus Friday is really nice for a school bee, you know, get the whole school involved in it. And then if we then think, okay, so in that case, when do we need to hold our classroom spelling bees, if that's where we're going to do, or when do we need to hold our grade level spelling bees? What's that level ahead of that school spelling bee in this example? So I am thinking in that case, the week prior is when you would have that classroom spelling bee. I made it a week with the idea that classroom teachers would provide you with their classroom champions' names by January 17th. A week allows the educators at your school to use whichever day they have, you know, that little chunk of free time to be able to administer a classroom level spelling bee. And then that also gives your classroom bee champions at least a week to study for that school spelling bee. Now, again, if your spelling bee calendar is more spread out or even more condensed, that is completely fine. This is just an example of kind of what I would do. So now that we have talked through some of the ideas for how your school spelling bee can be structured, let's go through where you can find all of the materials in your school portal. So everything that you need will be in one of these links under school level competition, okay? First, I'm going to encourage you to check out the competition overview. That will provide you with a little bit of information. It shows you the link out to that school spelling bee checklist that we looked at earlier. I also want to point out this other link right here, which is to Spelling Bee 101. That is another great resource. It is an in-depth look at the logistics of hosting your program, and it has a lot of great information and even more details than I'll be able to share in this short webinar. So I would highly recommend giving that a download. Eventually, we'll also have the recording of this webinar linked from here, so you can check back and refresh your memory about anything that we discussed. So, and then again, here are some of the things that we'll be chatting about a little bit later. Okay, so in our new school portal, we've grouped everything by competition level. So you have a tab for classroom bees, and I will just say that you could also, substitute grade level bees for that. And you have a tab for school bees. We're going to look at the classroom bees tab first. For any type of spelling bee, you're going to need two main materials. So those are study lists for your students and competition lists for yourself or a classroom teacher or your school spelling bee officials to use when conducting a spelling bee. First, you'll see some information here at the top about hosting a classroom spelling bee. So for instance, you can see that our guidance is that it's typically not necessary to have a full host of officials for a classroom bee. In most circumstances, the classroom teacher can use our competition guide to conduct a traditional oral spell down while keeping track of student spellings with the record keeping sheets that we provide linked right down here. So then we also have our competition lists. This year, that's the 2025 classroom competition list, which is broken up based on grade level. So your classroom teachers can find the section of the list that is most appropriate for their students. We've also included the vocabulary supplement in case you'd like to incorporate written or oral vocabulary questions into your competition. Now, finally, we have included our study lists, and at the classroom level, there are a lot of them. We have broken these up based on grade level and then also by your competition structure. So that means that if you plan to incorporate vocabulary questions within any level of your program, you'll want to provide students with the words with definition. So all of these here. These are only going to include spelling, not definitions. So we're going to, take a closer look at one of these study lists. Hopefully that popped up all right for you all. It did. Good. See if I can get it into full screen without messing anything up. There we go. Okay. So this is just an example of one of our classroom level study lists. This is for first graders. It is 50 study words that are good, meaningful words for first graders to know. So you will find 50 words at each grade level, 1st through 8th grade, as part of this, your school portal. And then I just want to show you down here at the very bottom, we have the school spelling bee study list. And it says for your classroom champion. So that is a 450 word list of all eight of these grade levels. And it's what a classroom or a grade level champion should study to prepare for the school spelling bee. Now, speaking of that, if I go over here to school bees on this tab, it's a little bit different. So we're going to walk through this together. We start off again with some general information about hosting a school spelling bee. Now, like I mentioned earlier, in many cases, a classroom teacher should be able to act as pronouncer, judge, and record keeper for their classroom. For a school spelling bee, however, we would encourage you to have a few different officials. So that would be a pronouncer who pronounces the words for the students and answers any of the approved questions that the students can ask. At least one judge, but we find that often 2 or 3 judges to determine if the words have been spelled correctly, kind of takes the pressure off of some of the judges. And then a record keeper who uses that handy record keeping sheet to keep a record of the competition. They are also able to weigh in as a judge and help them make their decisions. And they also make sure that your spellers don't go out of order to spell. Now we'll go down a little bit. You'll see the school competition list. This is what your officials should use to administer your school bee. And then we also, again, have our vocabulary supplement. That is that optional resource that we discussed earlier. I do just want to point out all of the bees competition lists begin with studied words. That's what we call them. Those are words found on any of our study lists. And they end with what we call unstudied words. These are words that do not appear in any of our study lists. They're found in Merriam-Webster Unabridged, which is our official dictionary and reference. You can actually sign up for a free 7-day trial of Merriam-Webster Unabridged if you'd like to have it available for conducting your bee. However, all of the word information you should need will be included as part of your competition lists. Now, if we go down even further, you'll see that we do have some study lists here for school bees. So it is the school spelling bee study list. This is that list of 450 words. It incorporates all those grade level study lists, and it's what a student should use for the school spelling bee. And again, if you plan to incorporate vocabulary in any way at your bee, you'll want to be sure that you provide them with that school spelling bee study list with definitions. And then down here at the bottom, very important, we have an additional list. So that is for your school champion. That is called Words of the Champions. It's a 4,000 word study list that your school champion should study as they move forward to whatever the next level of competition will be for your regional program. It's a very cool list. Our editorial team has a lot of fun putting it together. They put together a lot of fun resources to help make study fun at the end of it. And then actually this year we worked with some spelling bee alumni to come together and help us provide some of the content for that. So we're very proud of it this year. I think that it's a really great resource and hope that your school champion enjoys studying from it. Okay, I'm going to stop for just a moment. Let's see if we have any questions that need to be answered right now. I see one in the chat. Is it okay to only pick one grade level in the school to do the spelling bee? I would say yes, absolutely. If that's what works best for your school. Obviously, the more students that you can involve in your program, the better. But if that's what works best for you, and just be sure that that one grade level is part of the grade levels that your regional partner makes the regional program available to. So for instance, we have some regional partners in areas where it's only 3rd through 8th grade that can be involved. So you wouldn't want to pick, 2nd grade if for that program, if that was a minimum eligibility requirement. Is it okay to set a timer for each response? Yes, absolutely. So we at the national level have time limits for students in terms of, I assume you mean speaking on stage, answering their spelling word. And yes, that is, if that works best for you, absolutely you can do that. When is it best to get the list out to students? Oh, that's a great question. I think giving kids at least a week is great, especially with that for your school champion or for classroom champions. If they're moving on to the school spelling bee, they might need more than a week. If they're moving on to the regional spelling bee or a regional qualifier bee, I would give them as much time as you can because that is a serious list of 4,000 words to study. So. Okay, I'm going to jump back in here and okay, so I'll see about answering some more questions in just a little bit. Okay, now that we've gone through all of those different materials, I do want to point out some of the additional resources that are available to you. So you'll see here at the top of this page, it's also at the top of the classroom bees. We have some additional resources, one coming later this month, which is our school spelling bee script. We do provide suggested rules for spelling bees every year. These are great to distribute to your students' parents ahead of the competition and also to your officials, just to be sure that everyone is on the same page about how the competition works and what their roles are. You'll also see that we've included instructions and a form if you'd like to incorporate a written test as part of your school spelling bee program. A written test is a really nice way to bring vocabulary into it, which is something that the bee has tested at the national competition for over a decade. So we really feel like it does a lot for that whole language learning, and helps to put the words into context for students. And then finally, we have our online testing platform. So this year's version of the OTP, which is what we call it, goes live next week. We are very excited to launch that tool again this year. We actually developed it in 2020 for teachers who were dealing with pandemic circumstances. But we really love it. We find that teachers at schools really love it too. And so we are thrilled to continue offering it as a resource. Like I said, it goes live next week. So a couple things to note about the OTP. I'm going to go down here. You see right here, school level online testing is where you'll see all these resources. We're just going to touch on this really, really quickly. It is a fully turnkey resource. So you don't have to choose the words or write the questions or anything like that. You simply decide what level of test you'd like your students to take, how many questions you'd like to include, if you want to include spelling or vocabulary or both, and then the tool creates the test for you using studied and unstudied words from the bees materials. Like I said, I'm not going to go into that too much in this webinar. I can answer some questions, or they can answer some questions in Q&A for you. However, one of my bee colleagues, Julia Vermeer, is going to host a webinar all about the school level of the online testing platform. So if that's something you are interested in, I would definitely encourage you to join her next month. She'll be doing that on Tuesday, October 15th at 4 p.m. So I'm actually just going to put this in the chat if you would like to go ahead and register for that. That way you won't forget. And what I will do is kind of show you everything that is going to be here in the online testing platform menu. So all of these resources will be available starting next week when the platform launches. So you don't currently see links out to them, but they will be there for you soon. So this overview has a little bit of information. This is also where you will register for your online testing platform account if you choose to use it. You do have to register a new account every year. That's just how the platform works. Then if you go to creating your online test, we will have some resources here for a couple different levels. So for you, the school bee coordinator, there will be a PDF guide as well as a video tutorial. We will have for educators at your school, so those that you delegate to give online tests, you can do that. It's a pretty cool feature within the platform. There are instruction guides and tutorials specifically for them. And then of course, for our parents who are the ones who are having to set up the accounts for their students and be sure that they're managing all of that, we will have an instruction guide and a video tutorial for them as well. And then finally, we will have some email templates available for you. And I do just want to point out, as a little like fun tip, you can tweak these email templates and use them to communicate with students' parents, even if you aren't using the online testing platform. So you can use some of them to talk about, maybe impart information about your school spelling bee, or about what the next level looks like for your school bee champion. You'll be able to use these templates. So definitely do look into those, even if you don't plan to use the online testing platform. All right, now that we have talked through some different ways to hold a school spelling bee, I just want to do one more poll, kind of get an idea of where you're thinking with your own school program, and see if there's anything else that you want to be sure that I hit on before we wrap up for Q&A. So just right now, as you're taking in all of this information, understand it's a lot. How do you plan to conduct your school level spelling bee? We have, of course, our traditional oral spell down. That's what you see on ION for our national competition every year. We have a written test. We have an online test via the online testing platform. And then I threw in another option there because maybe there's some kind of hybrid of all of these pieces. that you're thinking about for your students, and I'd love to hear more about it in the chat. So I will give just a moment for that. Good stuff. All right. Gonna go ahead and close it up here in just a second. All right, that looks like just about everybody. Okay, so this is great. Traditional oral spell down looks like we've got about 89% of people, but then some people looking to use a written test too. Hopefully you'll be able to incorporate some vocabulary as part of that. And then one person said other, so you can definitely throw it in the chat and let us know what that's all about. Okay, so we are almost finished here. I do just want to take a moment to think about what you should do after you've hosted your school spelling bee, once you've declared your school spelling bee champion, no matter which way you decide to host that competition. So first, prizes and certificates. So you see here that we have some prizes and certificate templates here for you. That one at the top, Britannica Online for Kids. Every school that enrolls with the Bee receives one free 1-year subscription to Britannica Online for Kids. And that is a great study tool. It's a resource for students from our friends at Encyclopedia Britannica that you can give to a participant in your school spelling bee. Now, for all of you who enroll by next Monday, September 30th, you'll actually receive an additional 1-year subscription to Britannica Online for Kids. So you'll be able to provide that prize to 2 spellers in your competition, which we really appreciate Encyclopedia Britannica for providing that to you. And then I'd also encourage you to check out these other certificates. One thing that I personally love about the Spelling Bee program is that it provides a number of recognition opportunities for all sorts of students at your school, right? So you see that we've included like the Best Sportsmanship Award or the Most Improved Spelling Award. And then you also have the customizable certificate here at the bottom. So you can do whatever, maybe there's something that feels really authentic to your school that involves like your school mascot or something. You're able to create your own certificate there. Now, another thing you'll want to be sure that you do following your school spelling bee is register your school champion for the next level of competition. Now, if you remember way back at the beginning of this webinar, we talked about the regional program information. You have here underneath school level, you do have the school champion registration deadline here. Sometimes that will be the same as your school B deadline. Sometimes it'll be a little different. So do just be sure to take a look at that. Many of our regional partners use the Bees school champion registration process for for receiving information about your champion. And if your regional partner does, you will see this link right here, which is school champion registration. So if I click on that, it will give me a form that I can fill out. And then you submit that form and it goes directly to your regional partner. Now, not all of our regional partners do that. Some of them choose to use their own form or do everything via email, perhaps. So under this registering your school champion section, if they do have different instructions for you, those will appear under that heading. So be sure to keep an eye on that. And then the other thing that you'll want to be sure to do is provide your school champion with a copy of the Words of the Champions list. That is that 4,000 word study list. It has a lot of great information, a lot of great resources and fun as part of it, but it's got some tricky words in there. So you'll definitely want to be sure that as soon as your school bee finishes and you've had a chance to celebrate your school champion, that you provide that to them. One final thing that I do want to plug really quickly, and I thought I had it pulled up and I do not, but I can get to it easily. So if you go to spellingbee.com, you can find information about Word Club. So Word Club is our free study app. It's completely free. It is available to download from Google Play or the App Store. So your Android and iPhone users can all use it. It is a way for your school champion or other students at your school to study their spelling bee words. So they can do that by playing fun games and quizzes within an app. So definitely do check that out. Like I said, it's completely free, and we are very proud of it. So okay, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to go over. I think here really quickly, I'll just scroll down a little bit and share. So we do have, you can see, we do have some more resources here down past all of our competition resources. So just want to highlight Great Words, Great Works. That is our book list. So every year we put out a list of books that are based on grade level, and through reading those books, your students can read their spelling bee study words in context, which we really love. That's a really fantastic tie-in for ELA curriculum. Kind of going along with that, we also have our Bees bookshelf. That is the official book club of the Bee. Free to join, totally online, but you get a monthly email that will give you, typically we have some kind of giveaway associated with the monthly book, a video from the author, a spelling bee study list that's words that come from the book. And you'll see here some recommendations for how you could use the Bees bookshelf in your classroom. Hopefully most of you are already signed up for the Beehive. That is our newsletter for educators. So do definitely feel free to sign up, share that link and provide it to other educators at your school. And then, we do have a little bit about Word Club here. And then we will be populating word activities into this space here. We have a couple that are coming from our editorial team early next month, and then we'll have some that will be shared from the Beehive newsletter as well and put into your portal. So trying to beef that school portal up as much as possible so you have lots of really exciting resources to get your students excited about words and spelling. Okay, I think that is enough for me. Let me go ahead and see what questions we have in the chat and or in our question or Q&A. Okay, we already talked kind of when is it best to get the study list out to students. I would give students, at least a week to study, especially and more than that if we're talking about, maybe a school-wide bee, or especially if we're talking about a regional bee. This is a great question. Are all the words available free in the Word Club app? Yes. So to kind of break it down for you, there are 450 words in that school spelling bee study list. That's the one that students will study before the school bee. And then those 450 words are actually part of that 4,000 word study resource, Words of the Champions. So all 4,000 Words of the Champions words are available within the Word Club app. So your student is able to study for a classroom bee all the way up to their regional spelling bee using the Word Club app. So can you send a recording so I can review with teachers? Yes, absolutely. Everyone who has registered for this webinar will get the recording. We also will send it out in 2 weeks as part of the Beehive, the educator newsletter that we have. Let's see. A couple more things that I'm seeing in the chat. Roberta shared that in her opinion, to have a school bee only a week after classroom bees is not enough time to learn the additional 400 words. That's very fair. She uses 3 to 4 weeks. I think that that's fantastic. I think the more time that we can give students, the better, so that they can really get to know those words, work with them, learn the definitions, learn the spellings. So I think it really just depends on that deadline that you're working toward for the regional program, and then when you can fit it in. We know that, teachers are busy, your school calendars are busy. Uh, so that's a great thing to point out. And then I think this is what this other comment is getting at. If you want to go ahead and provide students with that full school spelling bee study list instead of the grade by grade, the grade level by grade level lists, that's completely fine. They are broken up for them. And that just allows them to, as they become comfortable with their classroom or grade level words, immediately start studying for that school bee. All right. Let's see. Oh, this is a great question. I'll see if anyone on my team has any recommendations they can send to me as well. But this question is, what structure do you suggest for mostly Spanish speaking students? That's fantastic. I think I would put it back. Sorry, I think I'm going to put it back on you. I think that you have two really good options, I would say, with either the written test, if you think that students might be a little more comfortable and more comfortable with a little bit more time by providing them as part of a written test. And then also, the traditional oral spell down is just a really fantastic way to get to know words better. So I think that it really depends, but I would probably recommend one of those two options, just depending on how your individual students learn best and are assessed best, I would say. Okay. I'm a district coordinator. Is there any way I can get the resources from the site? It's hard to help my sites when I don't have access to materials. This is a great question in the chat. I wonder if there might be a way for one of us to reach out to you. So we'll chat. What is the recommended amount of students per bee again? Great question. So typically we recommend about 20 to 25 students would be a part of your school spelling bee, or a classroom or grade level spelling bee. If you get too much more than that, you're looking at potentially having some students get easier words than other students, just because our lists do increase in difficulty as they move forward. So we tend to recommend about 20. That seems to be a good sweet spot. How much time do you recommend for students to give their responses? Let's see. We changed it at the national competition this past year. I believe that everyone had 90 seconds. I think I know that this has been my refrain this whole time, right? I think it really just depends on how much time you have, and what seems like a good amount of time for the level of students that you're working with. But I think probably 60 to 90 seconds. That sounds that sounds fair and probably doable, especially at a school level. Let's see. Someone asked if they do Spanish at the regional. So actually, we don't have, we're an English spelling bee. Of course, English is made up of all different languages that we have borrowed. Words from languages that we have borrowed. So we don't have specifically Spanish materials, and we don't have specifically Spanish, words, or, a fully Spanish spelling bee at the classroom, school, or the regional level. Let's see. When conducting your school spelling bee for grades 4 through 6, what number do you recommend starting on? So Jen, I would send you to the front matter of the school competition list. It's going to give you recommendations for where to start based on level. So that level looks like it would be about 2B, because we've got 1st through 3rd for our 1B, 4th through 6th for 2B, and 7th and 8th for 3B. Just in terms of words for leveling for like the Great Words, Great Works list and any materials. So I would send you to the front matter, and it does a pretty good job of kind of letting you know the difficulty level from there. This is a great question. Unfortunately, it really just depends. So how long does it usually take to finish the spelling bee? It really just depends on how many students you have and how competitive your bee is. So we, I tend to think of this from like the regional level. So the regional level can take anywhere from like an hour to 3 hours. I wouldn't anticipate that your school spelling bee would be that long, but yes, I mean, sometimes you get into a back and forth with, 2 or 3 students who have just really, really learned their words. And that's why every one of our competition lists ends in unstudied words, because you do eventually have to get to a champion. So, okay. I think Roberta's doing my job for me. She's got all the know-how in the chat, but yes, I do just want to say that we have made things a little bit easier with this new enrollment system and the new school portal. It is much easier for one person, whether they be at the district level or even a state level. You can enroll multiple schools in one enrollment, and then that person has something called a district enroller account, where they're able to see all of the different schools that they've enrolled. And it's separate from that school bee coordinator user. So that might be something, Judy, that you could look into with your specific schools. And then also, as Roberta pointed out, this year you can have a few teachers who you can also grant access to your school. So if you have someone who's like your assistant coordinator, or someone who's just like really helping you out with a certain grade level B, you can provide them access to the school portal using this users tool. Feel free to reach out to us at spellingbee.com/contact if you have questions about doing that. Okay, let's see. All right, I don't see anything else coming through. Let's see. I do see one question: how many school bee winners should there be? That depends on your program. So you have in the regional program information, it will let you know how many can move forward to the next level of your school spelling bee program. And so that is what you should go by when it comes to who moves forward. So you can always get to one champion if you just want that one champion, and then send, first, second, and third place if your regional partner allows you to send 3 spellers, but that is based on your regional program. All right. Oh gosh, not at all, Roberta. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. Okay. I think my team has answered. And again, I will just say that if there are pieces of your regional program information that aren't filled in completely yet, or if you just see the contact information, we are actively working with your regional partners to get all that information in, and we'll have it over the next couple of weeks. You should see more and more coming in as more details are nailed down in your local area. Okay. All right. Well, I will just make a plug really quickly about our fantastic customer service team. So they are always around to help answer questions. You can go to spellingbee.com/contact. And that is what I am throwing into the chat right now. And fill out our customer service form, and our amazing team answers questions within 48 hours. They're available throughout the school week. So do reach out to us with all of your questions. They're fantastic. And then before we close, I do just want to share my gratitude and the gratitude of the entire Scripps National Spelling Bee team. Like I said, I have been with this program for over a decade now, and it is just a huge passion of mine to bring the spelling bee program to your schools. So I have the utmost respect for you and gratitude for you as you're embarking on this spelling bee journey in our 100th anniversary year. We couldn't be more pleased. And thanks for spending your afternoon with me. Our program would not be possible without the work that you and other educators at your schools do. And you help us bring worlds of new words to millions of students every year. You make such an impact, and we are so thankful for your support. So again, please reach out to spellingbee.com/contact if we weren't able to get to your questions today, and have a great evening, everyone. Take care.